Hi Collective, welcome to the channel. I'm Crystal, a divine messenger. I bring messages to you from the higher realms. Welcome in everyone. So this is going to be a chosen one reading. I'm super excited, like, oh my gosh. I don't know if it's this powerful full moon that we have coming in. The Capricorn full moon is literally tonight, so within 24 hours out. There's been so many revelations and so many things. This is also the first full moon cycle where I've been set free, so this is a very, very powerful one, and so many things are coming together, so many integrations. The chosen are definitely rising. This is so beautiful, especially with the alignments, like so many chosen ones and earth angels have been set free at this time, because it's timing with the movements that we've had that were shutting these doors down. Okay, closing these cycles for karmic cycles to close out. Karmic retribution is what I'm hearing. Like, karma's coming down on all of the ones that have been projecting or doing anything towards the chosen. It's like everything was getting kept track of. Like, it was all coming to this part. And it has to be paid for the balance, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about like spiritual warfare, psychological warfare, and all of that, because I've been seeing a lot of it in the collective, and I've been getting guided to a lot of messages. Especially, like, I feel like so many beautiful souls are coming in to align me with the vibrational frequency, because they knew that it's like I knew what was going on. And I allowed it in a way because I knew that I was going to be getting set free from it. And it was bringing me back to this energy, kind of like with Judas, right? For some of you, you could be finding out that literally you had a Judas in your family, in your circle. And if you don't know the story behind the Judah or Judas, he's the one that went against Jesus and for money, right? For 12 things of silver or whatever. So he sold him out. And so yeah, like that's been coming out very much, for definitely like greed took over. For some of you, maybe you're finding out that literally the person you've been dealing with is Judah reincarnated or the spirit of but some of you could be finding out, especially the chosen. I told you all the ones from the beginning are here in the end, very much. So for some of you, however you may describe it as, whether you're just invoking the spirit of these very, very powerful entities and beings, or whether you're the original OG incarnation. That's why I said that this is such an interesting time, because, you know, everybody's been waiting for these very powerful beings to come back. Well, they've been here. They've been walking amongst you. That's why I said, like, you should never judge somebody you don't know who the 144,000 are, right? Now, the 144,000, it is a frequency. It is when you come having all of your DNA strands activated, all of your frequencies or whatever, where you can reach that level. But the originals, the leaders that came down here were the original ones. So there are the original leaders, right? Which that's why I always say the 144,000, the original 144,000 are the leaders. We have far more activated and awakened at the time, as we were here healing, transmuting out this very, very dark, dense, what had happened to Earth. That's why as chosen ones, like, we went through it, right? We went through the most challenging things, and because we were transmuting that out and holding the frequency. And I've been talking about this, and that's why things were changing once the 144,000 were holding the frequency. We were integrating, we were allowing the threshold to the barrier to be breached for others to be able to start to heal. And that's what I mean. And the masses have been starting to awaken and started to heal, because we've been holding that frequency, right? And that's what I mean. So now there are many others, right, that are getting activated, that are awakening, that are ascending. Okay, so I feel like, you know, and you can check some of my other chosen one readings, whatever, if you want to know more about that. But if you're here following this, then you probably already know that has been happening. That's why some people have been saying it's already like we're in a new earth. Like, this is so exciting, right? And so many other factors, being an age of Aquarius, right? But we're not repeating the fall. We're not. So that's what I mean. That's what's been so exciting. The fall of Atlantis, right? And that's what I mean. So a lot of you, like, you could be getting certain activations and remembrance and things, right? And especially as these blockages, right? Because for some of you, it's like you had people that were attacking you and suppressing you, and literally, like for some of you, like, there's been a lot of chaos magic and bane magic and all sorts of other things, and these entities running rampant. I'm hearing the Apep, the Leviathan. Okay, there's one with a snake. And the Jezebel, the Jezebel, right? And then Jesuits, there's so many different things, right? People don't realize that, we're breaking these strongholds and everything. So they've really been amping things up, not to mention how they were trying to initiate and bring more dark forces and stuff in with the gates, the doors, and all of that. Okay, but I'm not, okay. I'm sorry. There's so many different ways that I could go with this. Okay. So, do I even want to talk about the false base religion matrix, right? Is that cause separation and divide, and really it's, getting people going down the path of worshiping false idols and misdirections, and it's really all just big satanic cults, right? And worshiping sacrificing and killing and murder and all of that. But you know what I mean? People don't realize how brainwashed and controlled they are. Like, for some of you, like, you don't realize, like, even I was under heavy spell work, manipulation, control. Like, I didn't even realize it, right? It's like I did. Like, I knew. I'd get the downloads when I would be away, but then as soon as I would get back around certain people, things would happen. And what was so hard for me is, like, when I was talking about, like, my twin flame, like, how I was bamboozled and all of that, like, I know very much that he was very, very significant in my life. But I had so many contracts with some very, very dark families to clear from and things like that. Like, I always knew that he was a contract of mine because I've been on a rescue mission, right, to recover souls and bring them to judgment. For some, literally, that's all I was meant to do, right, is to recover these souls and bring them to judgment. That's what earth angels do. Right, we give the kind of the last chance, the savior, the saving. It's just like if you were in the presence of God himself, how would you act? Well, that's how us earth angels are. That's why we're walking karma, and as soon as we walk away, as chosen ones as well. Chosen ones are earth angels, but right, anyway, so but whatever, you want to define yourself as, but that is why you're walking karma, and that is why people get the protection while they're in your presence, because if they're still in your presence, if they're still around you, then you're still, like, allowing them to have redemption. You're still allowing them to come right. But as soon as you turn your back and you walk away, now they're no longer protected under you, and now judgment comes down immediately, because everything is but watched and monitored. And what I wanted to talk about is a lot of people don't realize, because of these entities that are flying around and stuff and causing possessions, and also I'm getting a lot with the incubus and the succubus, right? Like, some don't realize that they're even being controlled by these dark forces. Okay, these entities, these demonic forces, and when they do, they can cause you to act out in certain ways, like the incubus and the succubus acting out in lustful, sexual ways. Like, I've always known when people lose control over the way that they talk, that they're being controlled by those forces. And I know that personally it was kind of like, it was a curse in a way, because they knew how powerful my bloodline was, but that these demonic forces have always been kind of like a family curse that have ran through all of my family members, right? And that's why, like, I know I can't drink alcohol, things like that, doing anything to lower my vibrational state, right? To have these things be able to take a hold and take over, right? But anyway, so I've literally, because I've been able to see demons and demonic forces in people ever since I was a little girl. It's one of the gifts that I have, that I can see other realms and worlds. Okay, so anyway, but I can get too far into that. So anyways, for some of you maybe that I talked about this, you're going to start to see you're going to start to see realms and demons and things like that. All right. So getting enhanced gifts is definitely coming through. But anyway, so with the magic, like some of these forces, these people, like when they're under these strongholds of these demonic forces, they put off a certain frequency. And it's just like if somebody's embodying the incubus and the succubus, okay, demonic force, they put off a frequency that is kind of, I've been getting like pheromones, right, where it makes you drawn to them, and it's kind of like a hypnotic state. So it is a form of sex magic. Like that's what I knew that my ex was doing, because I knew there was something that, why is there so much? Like it's more than like, I just knew that like I was being like lured in, right? But I did not know that it was the, I think it was a combination of things, but I did not know that it was because he was under the stronghold, the demonic forces of the incubus and succubus. Which I should have known, because every lover I've ever had has been taken over by this demonic force. My father, my brothers, like everybody. I mean, I've even seen it in the feminine. I've seen it in all my families. This demon literally jumps in everyone and everything. And that's why chosen men's, like, they know that often they will have to distance themselves and walk this path alone, completely walk away from family and everyone and everything. Because at some point when you're constantly being attacked, right, you have to know, like, we were born into these families to heal them, right? So we were, and it was part of it. It's like we needed to have that rough upbringing. We needed to have severely, really broken parents. See, and this is the part that was hidden from the enemy. Like, little did they know that this is what was turning us into these warriors. That's why the strongest ones came on to take on these strongest paths. Okay, and because the weak wouldn't be able to make this. That's why for the ones that wanted to have the destinies and tried to do the destiny swapping and all of that, you need to understand they're very much experiencing it now. Because with this being an energy shift, which I'm talking about karma-wise, for karma to flip, it's energy. So now the ones that wanted to have those lifestyles of a chosen one, like, they're going to get to experience all of that, but many of them aren't going to be able to make it through all the things that you went through. Okay? They're not going to be able to withstand that. They wanted to show me an example, just to like give you an equivalent. Like, see, somebody found out that somebody was chosen by peeking and peering into their Akashic records, or going to a psychic, or somebody, or finding a way to access, or looking at their astrological charts and finding, certain things, right? And they say they found out that somebody was going to get a huge inheritance, right? Of like hundreds and thousands of dollars or $250,000. So like, you know what? I want their destiny or whatever. So then they go to do the magic, right? And the intent or whatever to switch destinies with that person, only to find out that the reason why that person was inheriting that $250,000 or whatever was because they were getting into a horrific car accident that was going to cause severe damage to their body. But you wanted that. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, a lot of the ones that are getting the karma at this time are not even understanding why, like, the backfires. Like, they think that they're just like, they don't realize they are starting to now feel the pain and everything, because when you want to destiny swap with someone, you don't just get to inherit their future. You have to inherit everything that they endured if it's something that you have not. Okay. And there's certain things like, yes, we got gifts, we get blessed, we get help, we have divine protection, things like that, but we still have to experience things. Just like things do still have to hit us. Okay? But then it can be amplified and it can come back. Like little things, like the other night, like I was jamming my fingers and stuff, and I knew every time I was just jamming my fingers in the little shelves and nicking myself, like each time that was happening, I was still saying, like, thank you, Source, for protecting me. Because I knew that somebody was probably wishing more horrific things would happen to my hands because of what, you see what I mean? Because I can feel the intent in the things that come my way. Being like, that's what I mean, like, we've had to cloak a lot of our gifts. For a lot of you, maybe you did cloak a lot of your gifts and things like that because you wanted to not let people know, right? Especially as star seeds and stuff that can really tap in and hear people's thoughts and what people are saying. And I've literally, like, heard people talking about some of the things that they want to do to me, like, right, like, that's the, okay, I'm going a little bit too deep for some of you. All right. But, so, okay, so I was talking about, like, the cloaking of things, how the karmic retribution, and now everything that people did, against chosen ones and stuff, once you pull back your energy, like, everything is starting to come back around and play out, okay? So all the things that they said that they wanted you to experience, now they are experiencing, okay? So, all of that stuff, right? And they need to understand too, when people talk about, like, you say you're talking about harming somebody. I don't even like to put the stuff out there in examples because I don't like to speak it. I'm very careful with the words that I say because I don't want to send projections just by talking about examples. So fill it in a little bit, okay, as I'm keeping it vague. So say you were talking about, like, hurting some, or you wanted to see somebody hurt. So you were talking about in detail the certain things that you wanted to see that person get hurt. Well, people don't realize that when these backfires happen, that they could then literally happen to loved ones around you. You know, and I don't like to put certain people, but you're certain family members that you would never want to see hurt. Especially, like, with the death magic and stuff. So people don't realize what you say is a form of creation. Whether you're under a demonic force or not, whether you are under a substance, whether you were kidding, like, that's something that I try to teach my children a lot, that we don't kid here, right? That's why they call it spelling, the words, the letters that you put together, you are creating. Okay, the universe doesn't understand separation, doesn't understand names, titles, labels, okay? Those are all things that have been created here in this realm. So when you're talking about things that you want to see happen to another, you're literally saying you want it to happen to you, right? And when it gets spoken upon a chosen one, because of the energy, because of our protection, and we're divine mirrors, like, it, like, immediately, you know, goes back. I mean, everybody really gets everything back that they want to experience, but it's like, imagine saying something that you wanted directly to God. That's why it's so intense, and that's why it can't be, like, let go of. You know what I mean? Like, every single thing that's said is being recorded because we are divine recorders. It's like being in court, okay? Like, every single thing that's said, like, it's being recorded. So it's going to have it has to be paid. I mean, everything has to be paid anyways for the balance, right? That's why we get held to higher standards too, and we get karma too, like, more severely if we go against spiritual law and the rules and things like that, because we are the leaders, we are you know what I mean, showing the way and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. So that's why I say, like, for some of you, like, you should never want to see somebody have karma, because then you're just going to experience the backfire for that projection or wanting, because it also, if you're thinking about it, you're going to create it, you know, and then you're putting that intent on somebody. I mean, let alone just thinking it creates, but then also speaking it, talking about it, gossiping about it, right? So let me tell you what, like, that's what I mean, like, people literally curse themselves, right? This is the life that, and it's sad because a lot of these entities are able to take over and take control due to people having woundings. Like, that's why, like, I almost feel bad. Sometimes I try to save people from further karma and things like that by releasing them and letting them go, because sometimes I don't think that people even are aware of what they're doing, right? And, like, you really have to be very careful of what you say and what you do. And I know that from a higher level, like, souls are getting, it comes at a soul level, like, everybody makes a choice whether or not they're going to be vindictive, they're going to try to, how they're going to handle a situation. But sometimes, like, it's due to traumas that people don't realize why they act a certain way, why they project. You know what I mean? Like, I see so many, like, adults going around, like, acting like children because they just haven't healed their wounds and they don't know how to control their anger. So they vent and then they run off saying lots of dark things. Like, I go around hearing, like, a lot of people, I don't want to say that anymore. Like, people don't realize with death magic, you know, the intent on that. And it's not always, I'm going to put that out there, it's not always a backfire of the same thing to the same level. It's not just because somebody said they wish that somebody would die that now they're going to have a relative of theirs die. I mean, depending on the emotion and the intent set upon it, I'm not going to say that can't happen, but there are, you know what I mean? It could be literally like the death could now, that could revert to like something being like somebody's like, business, the death to that, or a job, or, you know what I mean? Or a home, or a contract, or a marriage, or, you know what I mean? So it's like if you could be wanting someone to, or saying that you want someone to end their life, but now it's going to end your life with your love of your life, or something like that. You know what I mean? So it can change, and that's what I mean. A lot of times people don't even understand like the backfires and the karma. That's why I'm like, when people are going through it and going through stuff, like you shouldn't have remorse and things like that for them, because they're experiencing it from a level, and sometimes things do come through for past lives. Like I was finally given the clarity, and I've gotten it quite a few times, that there's certain contracts, like if somebody does you wrong in a life, like if say somebody ends you and takes you out in a lifetime, in the next lifetime you're going to get to one up them. Now you get to have, they're going to have to make it up to you. And if they don't, they're going to have another chance to like not cross you. And then if they are going to cross you again, or they do something, or even if spirit just sees the intent that they haven't learned their lesson and they're doing the same, they're not going to let the same thing happen again. And now they're going to get karma in this lifetime for another. You know what I mean? So it's like for some of you, some of the backfires and the karma that people have to experience are from previous lifetimes, right? I mean, it's like you do get to start fresh with each incarnation, because that's the thing, to try to level up and learn and soul evolution and growth, right? But it might take you a little bit harder to be able to, you know what I mean, to even like get in positions and stuff. But so anyway, there's I hope I'm explaining all of this. Like I said, I try to do a coda because I'm very careful with how I say things, but just there's a lot of like I just want people to have just more understanding and compassion of watching people going through their karma, and like chosen ones, archangels, like you need to know, you need to pull back your energy because you're blocking the karmic justice. Like that's something I needed to realize, is spirit was working a lot with me because I was feeling really bad, because I was like, oh my gosh, thinking about like my ex-lover, and I could see these entities attacking him more and more and more, and him going darker and darker and darker, and ultimately like that's why I had to leave him, was because of that. But I set it up to where he would walk away, and so I set up a test, right, that he did not pass. Okay, and but it was, I said that it would be better for me to get my heart broken, but spirit they listened to me, but then they did my offer, but then they snatched it right away before he could even. But anyway, they're cute. So, but what I'm getting at is that, whoa, there's a bunch of sirens going off right now. What was that? I just felt spirit tapping me. Heed the warning. Heed the warning. I'm going to leave you to take that for however. Okay. Charlie, was that an ambulance or a cop car? Did you hear that?
Yeah. I never saw it.
Oh. I'm still recording. Actually, I'm not, because I have a 2518 available for this reading, and I'm at 2441. So 2444, the angels got you being protected. For some of you, maybe you got moved out of a situation before you needed to have emergency assistance or help, or maybe you're gonna need to call for something, or maybe you're going to get moved out of something, but you are protected, okay? But you have to trust what you're feeling. Like, I got tested today, literally. Like, I got a feeling to knock on a door before I entered. And I was like, why would I do that? I never do that. And I just literally just walked in, and, like, I was like, oh, my God.